Team coverage tonight from the ABC 15 investigators. It is a controversial police shooting. A Phoenix officer killing a teen as he ran away. A fatal shot captured on aerial surveillance camera. The family sued only to have their lawsuit dismissed last year, but now that case may get new life.
Today, the federal appeals court held a hearing about whether to reopen that lawsuit. Here's ABC 15 Chief Investigator Dave Biscopy.
In court, one of the judges said this case is an important one. He's right, obviously. An officer took someone's life, and whether justified or not, that's serious. But this case also raises serious questions for Phoenix PD, some of them raised during this hearing.
The next case on our calendar is Harris versus City of Phoenix.
The hearing lasted 42 minutes, a panel of judges questioning attorneys for the family of the teen who died and for the City of Phoenix.
And what your contention is on appeal.
But before we get more into the legal issues, first let's talk more about how they got here. In January 2019, Phoenix SWAT officers surveilled a group of teens suspected of fast food armed robberies. They quietly followed their car for 8 miles. No lights, no sirens, and then without warning, used a grappler, flashbang, and shot a 19-year-old running away. That teen was Jacob Harris. His family filed a lawsuit, which was dismissed before trial. The lower court judge ruling, quote, no reasonable jury could find the officer's actions were unjustified.
We're no longer operating under Rule 15's liberal amendment policy.
Now, most of the hearing was spent discussing procedural and legal issues, not core facts of the incident itself. But at one point, there's a focus on whether or not Jacob Harris was holding a gun when he was shot.
The gun or an object, if you're going to not even admit that it's a gun, flies from his hand in the video. The object...
Is that a disputed fact? You clearly see something flying from his hand in the video.
The plaintiff is disputing that. I don't believe there's any reasonable way to dispute that based upon the photographs of the gun.
But Harris's attorneys do think it's reasonable to dispute that. The family believes it was planted. They believe it was a phone you see flying out of his hand.
What we have is a video showing something flying out of a hand, and we don't have a crime scene investigator. The person who was a crime scene investigator wasn't made available.
The crime scene investigator was Detective Jennifer DePonzio. She went on leave and then medically retired after she was caught mishandling murder evidence in dozens of cases.
You have a theory on what object was, if it wasn't the gun?
We don't know. We don't know where Jacob Harris's cell phone was found.
Now, we've been investigating that homicide detective's mistakes all year, and we'll have a much deeper story on how she impacted this case later this week. Now, as for this appeal hearing, judges don't always indicate which way they're leaning, and a decision is likely months away. I'm Investigator Dave Biscopy, ABC 15, Arizona.
The investigators asked Jacob Harris's dad about that appeal before he went into court today.
I'm very optimistic about this today. I know that it's going to go in our favor, and I know that justice is going to happen.
Roland Harris was also joined by community advocates making a plea for his son's 3 friends to be released from prison. They were in the car with Jacob just before that police shooting. All 3 were charged with crimes related to the death. ABC 15 investigator Melissa Blasius has that part of this controversial case.
Some of the officers involved in this case are accused of excessive force, deleting evidence, or botching cases, but those details did not come out until the young defendants who faced the potential of life in prison were convinced to take plea deals. Phoenix police had been secretly tailing the young robbers all day, even getting video during a stick-up at a fast food joint, then watching the getaway.
There were several occurrences that happened before the killing of Jacob to where all of this could have been stopped by the Phoenix Police Department.
But that did not happen. The stop occurred miles down a dark highway. 19-year-old Jacob Harris took off running and is shot in the back. It was an officer who pulled the trigger, but it was Jacob's 3 friends who got charged with murder. Felony murder, it's called, because someone died when they were leaving the scene of a crime.
Johnny was just 14 years old, and he was given a 15-year prison sentence. That's been more years than he was alive at the time.
Johnny Reed is the youngest of what this group has dubbed the Phoenix 3.
He told him if he was to take it to trial that he would definitely get life in prison. So basically, he was forced to sign this plea deal.
All three, Johnny, Soraya Busani, and Jeremiah Triplett, took plea deals. Now, in their late teens and early 20s, all are in prison.
I believe that we will win!
But their families and criminal justice reform advocates want a judge to release them and give them actual trials this time.
I can only find myself asking a lot of questions, such as why the hell they're still in jail facing adult time. We are not going anywhere until we get what's ours: justice, transparency, and respect.
That's because of new information since the pleas were made, in part because of the ongoing excessive force lawsuit filed by Jacob's dad. There are missing messages from a secret messaging app that the officers used, and revelations that a former Phoenix detective with integrity and evidence issues built the criminal case.
And I'm glad that a lot of things came out to light before today that I'm quite sure they've seen the news and are aware of, especially like Jennifer DePonzio, and deleting the WhatsApp communications and destroying public records.
Johnny and his aunt questioning the fairness. Is this really justice served?
He's just there, sitting in a cell, wondering why over and over and over again. I just want the criminals to come from behind the badge.
I'm investigator Melissa Blasius, ABC 15, Arizona.